What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news. So we did get a new update this week, and the weapon pool has been updated. We'll talk about what that means, but also, Bungie have been fixing loot caves, bugs, and more. Plus there's discussion about a few things they're working to fix soon in Beyond Light. So we'll look at some of the feedback, but also, we've got plenty of content to discuss, so let's look at upcoming quests this season, more Europa and Clovis Bray secrets, the return of Iron Banner, new weapons, the Dawning event, as well as various rewards and updates for Season of the Hunt. So if you guys do enjoy the video, a rating below very much helps us out, but without further delay, let's get into it. Just yesterday, we did have a new update to the game, and there are a couple of interesting things to mention. So, initially Vanguard strikes inside of the playlist are now 1050 power instead of 1100, and we can see that they fixed a problem where enemies would continue to spawn during certain activities in the Cosmodrome, and this should resolve an issue where gaggles of Guardians would convene in the Divide, all shooting into a cave-like structure. And so there was actually another loot cave on the Cosmodrome, but that one's been fixed, and they also fixed a problem where players could skip to the end of the Vel's Labyrinth Lost Sector. That's the cheese that meant the Lost Sector was disabled. But then separately, Bungie help tweeted that they'd fixed an issue where deleting a character could reset some raid rewards. And essentially players were creating new characters, skipping through the first mission of Beyond Light, and then solo farming raid chests to get the new currency. And of course, that means you've got a load of currency to spend either at the end of the raid, but also on weapons like Anarchy via the exotic kiosks, so unfortunately that will no longer be a viable option, but we can continue to farm in more legitimate ways. Of course, for rewards, they did update the World Engram weapons reward pool, and so no longer will it feature any weapons that are going to hit an infusion cap this season, and it also now includes 7th Seraph weapons, as well as Season of Arrival seasonal weapons, so those are going to drop via World Engrams, random drops in the wild, as well as engrams from the gunsmith and things like that. But there also are various fixes for the Cryptolith lore, so if you had encountered any issues with that, you can check out the patch notes linked below. But otherwise, bear in mind that we won't have this week at Bungie on Thursday. Of course it is Thanksgiving this week in the US, so for all of you guys in the US, I hope you do have a good holiday. But now moving on to some of the content we've had this week, and of course, initially we get a new EXO challenge. You can upgrade these via Variks to drop a pinnacle reward, but outside of rewards, they're pretty cool because these simulations are kind of what EXOs experienced during their creation. And EXOs refer to these kind of terrifying dreams, sometimes alluding to trudging through the ice, hordes of enemies, and approaching a tower, all of which we're kind of doing in these simulations to give us a small taste of what EXOs go through to be born. And of course, Cade was a prominent teller of such stories, so it's pretty cool. But otherwise this week, we do also get a new penguin collectible for Europa, so this time it's in Eventide Ruins, and if you head to the area above, where the servitor would spawn in the public event, there's a Scorched Captain. You can kill them, pick up the Scorched Cannon, and then if you take it to the low stairs in the building where the Bunker E15 Lost Sector starts, you can actually blow up the ice, revealing the penguin right here, and then of course return it to the room next to Variks. And otherwise you may have a few things to finish upgrading, things like stasis unlocks, Variks weapon quests and all of that this week. But with a lot of the season content unlocked, players will begin to wonder, what else are we going to see? And of course Hawkmoon is going to be one of the top things we'll see this season. But again, in terms of when it's going to happen, we don't have anything certain, but it could be a bit later on in the season. We do, however, know that there's going to be a 10-step quest there, so probably at least 2 or 3 of those steps are visiting vendors and stuff like that. And it'll be interesting to see whether Bungie kind of return to Dreaming City for any of that Hawkmoon content, but also the Cosmodrome. And it looks like via collections we're probably going to get 2 exotic ornaments, so on Ashen Wings, as well as the Feeling Lucky ornament, none of which we can preview just yet, but something that we'll see in the next few weeks. And otherwise, more immediately, we're going to have the Iron Banner, so the roadmap says this one will drop on the 8th of December. I'm not entirely sure which armor we're going to get for the Iron Banner just yet, although I think Bungie had said this might be a new set, not 100% sure. But there will be a pretty similar seasonal quest to what we've seen previously. So you've got steps like Shaped by Iron, and you've got to get 30 Guardian kills, 5 Void ability kills, and 10 zone captures. And as always, there are 5 different steps that are somewhat similar, and that'll grant access to all of the new seasonal stuff, and we have the return of the Steady Hand Cannon. That one does list the new bonus Wellspring, where kills with a weapon generate ability energy, but also Swashbuckler, Snapshot, Killing Wind, Outlaw Quick Draw, and those new Iron Banner bonuses that we saw introduced last season. And then we have the Guiding Sight also being reprised, of course the High Impact Frame Scout, and you can see we got bonuses like Rapid Hit, but also Surplus, which increases handling, reload, and stability for each fully charged ability, and then we've got All for One, where hitting 3 separate targets increases damage for a moderate duration. And those are just some of the newer bonuses, so it'll be interesting to see if any decent rolls come out of that. But separate to the Iron Banner, of course, there is also the Dawning, listed to start on the 15th of December, and it looks like it's going to have a pretty similar structure to what we've seen previously. We've got new packages for the new vendors in the expansion and the season, so vendors like the Crow, and also possibly new perks on the Dawning Cheer Sparrow. We can see a couple of potentially new listed upgrades on that Sparrow. But as for other quests and things, we're not entirely certain, but there will, as always, be interesting ornaments and things like that as well. So one for Xenophage we can see right here, as well as one for the Monte Carlo. And so really for the moment, those are the pieces of content that we know are kind of coming immediately in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Then of course we'll be into January, which if we're going to have a typical kind of 3-month season, will be in the last few weeks of the season by that point. So I'd imagine Bungie will have at least a couple of things to drop in the new year. Moving on though, let's get a quick mention of some of the awesome secrets we've discovered over the past few days. So firstly, of course, there is the giant exo head in creation on Europa, and this is Clovis Bray's attempt to build a giant exo. And when we first interact, they refer to us raiding the Deepstone Crypt, but it seems that we're kind of chill with him for now, although he is a monster manipulator, creating exos and doing terrible experiments. And currently, he wants to reset Banshee, claiming that he's defective. And of course, via the law, quick spoiler alert I suppose, but it's kind of out there now, and Banshee was in fact one of the exos that Clovis built in pursuit of the perfect exo in the form of Clovis 1, so he's actually one of the Clovis frames, which is pretty crazy. There was some pretty cool cinematic content of course associated with this, which I'll run out at the end of the video very briefly. But guys, for today, that's what we have to discuss inside of this one, so as always I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll be sure to keep you posted over the next few days and weeks as the rest of the season content rolls out. So as always, if you're new around here, feel free to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so I can keep you up to date. But otherwise, let us know your thoughts on any of the stuff we've spoken about in the video. But for now, whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.
For Aramis, the deep stone crypt provided another grasp at darkness. But firm it was not. Their loss is our gain. For the deepest secrets of Europa are now within our grasp. It's no longer a secret what lies within the deep stone crypt, the living embodiment of darkness, shrouded in the DNA of the Vex. My grandfather desired eternal life. He searched and searched, but in the end, he created it instead. From his fountain of youth, I and every other exo was born. This is a truth we cannot hide from. The darkness within us. And so we must embrace it. The guardians that entered the deep stone crypt brought new life to the long-dormant machines of Europa. They carry with them knowledge long thought lost. Now is our chance to seize it.
Artificial intelligence activated. Who the hell do you think you are?
Excuse me?
The deep stone crypt has stood for centuries without intervention. From the ether, your people swoop in and destroy my work without thought.
Your work? Are you?
More than just an AI? Indeed. I am an exact replica of Clovis Bray I's consciousness. Woken, thanks to the intruders in the crypt.
Those guardians weren't the intruders. They were trying to protect it from the Fallen.
Fallen?
An alien race that appeared after the collapse.
The collapse? Sounds like I have much to catch up on. I suppose if you're telling the truth, I should offer my gratitude to your kind. In the meantime, perhaps you can refrain from further destroying my life's work. Oh, you again. And what should I help you with this time?
It's our friend, Banshee, an exo. He had scattered visions of dead exos that mentioned a blade and led to you.
Did you say Banshee?
Yes, he's our gunsmith.
How interesting. You're after the blade then, I assume.
We're just out to help our friend make sense of his memories. Hoping the blade helps with that.
Yes, I'm aware of where it lies. You want it? Prove you're worth my time first.
Same to you. That's the last of them.
I suppose I owe you a debt of gratitude. However, I generally prefer not to be indebted to anyone. As such, you may consider the blade your property. Though you should allow this Banshee an opportunity to test its integrity once more.
You sure you're safe?
Thanks to you. Until our next meeting.